The Dreth Dominion warship cut through space like a blade of black metal. Its hull bristled with weapons, trophies from conquered worlds hanging like banners. The Dreth were feared across the galaxy, but today they believed they had captured something even greater, a legend. Inside the warship's cold corridors, armored Dreth soldiers dragged a prisoner in chains. The alien crew gathered to see her, hissing and growling in laughter. They expected some monster, some towering beast. Instead, they saw a small human woman with dark hair and pale eyes. Her name was Kara Hale. She wore a tattered combat uniform, its Earth insignia torn during the raid. Her wrists bled from the metal cuffs. Her lips were split, but she walked tall, not bending under their jeers. "This is the Death Worlder," one Dreth scoffed. His voice was like gravel in a furnace. "This fragile thing? She is smaller than our younglings." Another tapped his claws against the chain around her neck. "Perhaps the stories of Earth are lies. Perhaps humans are nothing but prey." The crew roared with cruel laughter. But Kara stayed silent. Her pale eyes scanned the warship, not with fear, but calculation. She counted every hallway, every door, every weapon. She did not speak a word, and that silence unsettled the Dreth more than they admitted. They paraded her through the ship like a prize animal, dragging her into the central chamber. Here, the Dreth warlord waited. His armor was thick with scars, his tusked face twisted in arrogance. Behind him, the banners of conquered planets hung. "So," the warlord growled, stepping closer. "The first human ever captured. The galaxy whispers that your kind are demons from a world that kills. I see only weakness. Flesh too soft, bones too light, eyes too fragile." He reached out, gripping Kara's chin roughly. She did not flinch. "What are you without your weapons, human?" the warlord sneered. "What are you without your armies? You are nothing. You belong to the Dreth now." The chamber echoed with cruel laughter. But Kara finally spoke, her voice calm, low, and steady. "You made a mistake." The laughter stopped. Some Dreth tilted their heads, confused. "A mistake," the warlord hissed. Kara met his burning eyes. "You think you captured me. But humans, we are never taken. Not truly. One of us missing means all of us are coming. You don't understand what you've just done." The Dreth growled in amusement again, brushing off her warning. They thought her words were the last cries of a broken prisoner. But Kara knew the truth. Humans had one unspoken rule. No human was ever left behind. The Dreth did not understand this yet, but soon they would. Hours passed. Kara was thrown into a steel cell, high walls and energy fields locking her inside. Two guards stood watch. From her corner, Kara sat still, listening to the hum of engines, the stomp of Dreth boots, the faint tremor in the hull when weapons were tested. The guards sneered at her silence. "Perhaps she broke already," one muttered. "No," the other replied. "She waits. They say her kind are clever. Dangerous. She may try tricks." Kara smiled faintly, but kept her head bowed. They thought they were keeping her in place. They didn't realize she was studying them. Their patterns, their words, their weaknesses. She remembered her training back on Earth. Deathworld cadets were not trained only to fight. They were trained to survive, to endure, to wait for the right moment. And she also remembered something else. The moment her distress beacon had gone off during the Dreth raid. A small device in her uniform had sent a signal no Dreth ship could block. Earth knew she was missing, and Earth always answered. Meanwhile, in the warship's command deck, the Dreth warlord sat proudly on his throne. The scientists of the Dominion gathered around, eager to study the human. They wanted her blood, her bones, her cells, to understand what made Deathworlders different. "We will break her," one scientist declared. "We will show the galaxy that humans are no demons, but weak animals. The Dreth will prove their superiority." The warlord grinned, his tusks glinting. "Yes, we will make her scream, and the stars will hear it. The myth of Earth will be destroyed." But just as he spoke, alarms echoed through the ship. The crew froze. Red lights flashed across the control panels. "Report," the warlord barked. A trembling officer stared at the screen. "Yes, sir. An unknown signal has entered the system. Fast. Too fast." It's human. The chamber fell silent. The warlord snarled. Impossible. No human ships are this far out. But the officer swallowed. They are here. Multiple signatures. And, sir, they are locking on us. The warship shook violently as the first blast struck its shields. In her cell, Kara lifted her head. The sound of explosions rang through the walls. The guards panicked, shouting into comms, their claws shaking. Kara simply smiled. She whispered to herself, "Told you. We never leave our own." And for the first time, the Dreth realized the stories were true. The Dreth Dominion thought they had won a great prize. A human soldier was chained inside their warship, her armor stripped away, her weapons locked in a vault. They paraded her through the metal halls, showing her off to curious soldiers who pressed close to see. "This is the Death Worlder," one Dreth sneered. "She looks so small, so weak." Another laughed. "Her bones look thin. I bet one strike could break her ribs." The soldiers around them roared with laughter, their echo filling the dark halls. But Kara Hale, the captured human, did not answer. She walked with steady steps, her chains rattling with every movement. Her eyes stayed calm, almost too calm. The Dreth commanders noticed. "She should be crying," one whispered to the other. "Why isn't she afraid?" Kara only smiled faintly, the kind of smile that unsettled them more than any scream. She knew something they did not. They locked her in a cold steel chamber with no window, only a small glowing lamp on the ceiling. Guards stood outside, armed with plasma rifles. Every few hours, Dreth scientists entered, poking her skin, taking samples of her blood, measuring her heart rate. "She is nothing special," one scientist said, disappointed. "Her blood is only red fluid. Her muscles are dense, but not extraordinary. The myths of humans are exaggerated." Another scientist disagreed. "No, look deeper. See how her body adapts to the different air? Her lungs are adjusting faster than any species we've tested. It's as if her body is waiting." The word waiting stayed in the air. Kara heard it. She did not move, did not resist. She was waiting, yes, but not in the way they thought. Back on Earth, her signal had already been noticed. Kara carried a hidden implant, a beacon designed for only one purpose: to tell humans where one of their own was taken. The moment the Dreth captured her, the beacon sent its silent message through space. On Earth, in deep underground bunkers, lights flashed red. Human commanders read the signal. They did not panic. They did not shout. They only nodded. "Confirmed. First human taken alive," one officer said. "Send a response?" another asked. "Yes," came the reply. And across the galaxy, ships began to move. Silent, hidden, fast. The Dreth Dominion had no idea. Inside the cell, Kara lay on the floor, staring at the ceiling light. Her mind stayed sharp. She thought of her training, of every lesson drilled into her since childhood. Never break. Never give information. Never show weakness. The Dreth kept asking questions. "Where's your homeworld? What makes humans so strong? What weapons do you have?" Kara answered nothing. "You think your people will come for you?" one guard mocked. "Do not dream. The Dominion controls hundreds of systems. You are alone." Kara looked him in the eye and whispered her first words since capture. "No human is ever alone." The guard felt a chill crawl up his back. He laughed nervously, trying to push away the unease. But the word stayed with him. Later, the Dreth High Commander visited her cell. A tall figure covered in armor. His voice echoed like thunder. "You are the first of your kind in our grasp," he declared. "We will break you, then show the galaxy that humans are nothing but soft creatures hiding behind rumors." Kara tilted her head. "Or maybe," she said softly, "you've made the worst mistake in your empire's history." The commander snarled and turned away. Yet deep down, he felt something he had not felt in years, doubt. That night, alarms began to echo faintly in the distance. Small tremors shook the ship. Kara sat up, chains clinking. She smiled again. The Dreth guards rushed to check the systems. "Just an asteroid strike," one muttered. Nothing unusual. But Kara knew better. She whispered to herself, "They're coming." And somewhere beyond the black void of space, human warships slid silently through the dark, invisible to Dreth sensors. They were not rushing. They were not loud. They moved with deadly patience. The Dreth thought they had captured prize. But in truth, they had lit a fuse. The waiting was almost over. On the bridge, the Dreth commander roared orders. Seal the human's chamber. Cut her off. But the screens flickered. Suddenly, every display on the ship showed Kara's face. She stood in a hallway, breathing hard but smiling. "This is your lesson," she said, her voice echoing across the ship. "You thought humans were prey. You thought chains could hold us. But the galaxy forgot something important." She paused, staring directly into the camera. "We come from a world that kills the weak. You cannot outlast us. You cannot outfight us. And you will never, ever keep us." The Dreth crew stared at the screens, frozen in silence. Then Kara spoke the words that made their blood run cold. "My people are coming." The fear spreads. Whispers spread across the Dreth ship like fire. Some guards wanted to fight. Others wanted to run. But all of them felt something they had never felt before. Fear. A single human, unarmed, had turned their warship into chaos. What would happen when more humans came? The commander slammed his fist against the console. "She is only one," he shouted. "We are the Dreth Dominion. We will crush her." But even as he spoke, another silent pulse struck the ship. This time, the engines went dark. The Dreth ship drifted helplessly in space. Kara looked up at the ceiling, her heart steady. She knew what it meant. The rescue had begun. The Dreth Dominion had prepared for this moment. Deep inside their flagship, in a chamber lit by cold blue fire, Kara Hale lay strapped to a slab of black metal. Chains of energy bound her wrists and ankles. The air smelled of chemicals and burning stone. Alien scientists moved around her, whispering in their guttural tongue. They thought she was asleep. She wasn't. Her eyes were half closed, but her mind was sharp. She had been waiting for this. Humans were fragile on the outside, yes. Their bones broke. Their skin tore. But their minds were fire. The lead scientist, a tall Dreth with 4 cruel eyes, leaned over her. "This creature is soft," he hissed. "Her bones are thin, her muscles weak. Once we take her apart, the galaxy will see. Humans are nothing." The Dreth soldiers laughed. They didn't notice Kara's lips curl into a faint smile. Hours passed. They injected her with toxins, with drugs that would kill any other species. They wanted to test the limits of human survival. They increased the pain until the air itself vibrated with her screams. But Kara didn't break. She remembered her training. She remembered her instructors on Earth telling her, "Pain is data. Fear is data. Endure. Learn. Wait." Every injection, every burn, every electric shock only gave her more knowledge about the Dreth. Their arrogance was a weapon, and she knew how to turn it against them. On the warship's command deck, Admiral Korvek received reports. "The human resists longer than predicted," said a nervous officer. Korvek slammed a clawed fist against the console. "Ridiculous. She is a frail mammal. Increase the dosage. Push her to the edge. I want her broken before dawn." The Dreth believed no prisoner could resist this long. They didn't know humans had endured worse on their own world. Earth itself was harsher than any torture chamber. Back in the lab, Kara finally spoke. Her voice was hoarse but steady. "You think you understand me," she whispered. The Dreth scientist leaned closer, amused. "You can speak. Good. Tell us your secrets, human. Tell us why your species survives on a cursed world." Kara's eyes opened fully now, burning with quiet fire. "You want to know the secret?" she said. "It's simple." The Dreth waited, their curiosity sharp. "We don't die alone," Kara said. "We endure until the others come. And they always come." Her words echoed in the chamber. The scientists looked at each other. Some laughed nervously, thinking it was empty bravado. But one of them frowned. He had studied old war records. He remembered stories of humans never leaving their kind behind. Before he could speak, alarms blared across the ship. The Dreth staggered as the floor shook. "What is happening?" shouted the lead scientist. From the comms, a panicked voice cried, "Admiral, unknown ships just dropped out of hyperspace. They're small but fast. Too fast. They are human." The scientist spun toward Kara, eyes wide. You call them? Kara smiled, blood on her lips. Didn't have to. Outside, the void burned with fire. Sleek human-strike ships cut through the Dreth fleet like blades of light. They were smaller than Dreth warships, but smarter, deadlier. They didn't waste power on size. They used precision. Every missile hit. Every maneuver was perfect. The Dreth screamed as their ships exploded in waves of blue fire. On the flagship, chaos reigned. Alarms, fire, and the sound of shattering metal filled the air. In the lab, Kara pulled against her restraints. They sparked but didn't break. Yet she wasn't afraid. She could hear the humans drawing closer. The walls trembled with the sound of their attack. The Dreth scientist shouted, "Admiral, we must retreat. The human reinforcements are overwhelming us." Admiral Korvek refused. His pride was stronger than his logic. "No retreat. We will destroy them all. The galaxy must see the Dreth victorious." But even as he roared, another explosion shook the flagship. The lights dimmed. The floor cracked. Kara whispered to herself, "They came. They always come." Moments later, the door to the lab exploded inward. A team of armored humans stormed in, their weapons glowing with white energy. They moved like shadows, efficient and fast. "Kara!" shouted the lead soldier, his voice urgent. Kara's eyes filled with relief. "Took you long enough." They cut her restraints with a single strike, pulling her up. She could barely stand, but she didn't care. She was free. The Dreth scientists cowered in the corner. Their arrogance was gone now. Their myths about humans were gone too. One of the soldiers turned to them and said coldly, "Remember this. No human stays captured. Ever." As they fled the collapsing ship, Kara looked back once. The Dreth had thought her weak. They had thought she would break. Instead, they had learned the truth. Humans were never alone. And that was the one thing the galaxy should have feared most. The Dreth Dominion thought they had one. The human, Kara Hale, was still inside their fortress. The Dominion's capital world burned bright with towers and weapons. Millions of soldiers marched in perfect order. Alien leaders gave speeches about their victory over Earth. But they didn't know the storm that was coming. Humans had not forgotten. Across the stars, Earth's fleets had moved quietly. No broadcasts, no warnings. They didn't send threats like the Dreth. They didn't show off their weapons. They simply came, silent, hidden, patient. And then they struck. The first Dreth outpost vanished. A supply convoy disappeared into the void. No survivors, no wreckage. A military station lost all contact. Its defenses melted from within. Panic spread across the Dominion. How are they doing this? Dreth generals demanded. No ships detected. No signals. Every time the Dreth tried to track humans, they found nothing. It was like shadows had come alive. Inside her cell, Kara felt the change. Guards who once laughed at her now whispered nervously. Doors clanged shut earlier than usual. Alarms blared in the distance. Something was happening. She smiled. The humans had unleashed their hunters. Special forces, moving faster than Dreth scanners could follow, landed on hidden bases. They didn't come with giant armies. They came in small, surgical teams. Each squad destroyed communications, fueled depots, and command centers. And they left messages, carved into Dreth walls, written in human blood-red paint. One word only: return. The Dreth leaders panicked. "This is terrorism," one shouted. "This is war," another corrected. And for the first time, they realized Earth wasn't fighting for conquest. They weren't trying to take land or steal wealth. They were fighting for one person. Kara Hale. On the 10th night of chaos, Kara's prison walls shook. Explosions thundered across the compound. Dreth guards rushed past her cell, screaming orders. Lights flickered, alarms howled. Then silence. The door opened. Standing there was a figure in black armor, helmet reflecting the dim red light. The soldier lifted the visor. A human face. "Private Hale?" the soldier asked. Kara's throat tightened. "Yes. Earth sent us. Time to go home." She almost cried, but there was no time. The escape was fast, brutal, terrifying. Humans moved through the Dreth fortress like ghosts, taking down guards with silenced weapons. Kara followed close, heart pounding. At one point, a Dreth officer blocked the hall, roaring. He aimed his weapon at Kara. Before he could fire, the human soldier beside her whispered, "Duck." Kara dropped. A flash of light cut through the air. The Dreth officer fell, weapon still smoking. They kept moving. Outside, the fortress courtyard burned. Human dropships roared overhead, engines screaming. Dreth soldiers fired wildly into the sky, but their shots hit nothing. The humans were faster, smarter, deadlier. As Kara boarded the dropship, she looked back. For the first time, she saw fear in Dreth eyes. Not arrogance, not laughter, fear. And she realized something. The Dominion hadn't understood humans at all. They thought humans were fragile. They thought humans were weak. But humans had something Dreth couldn't measure. Loyalty. On board the dropship, Kara finally spoke. "You came for me." The soldier beside her nodded. "We always come. No human left behind." Kara stared out the window as the Dreth fortress vanished behind them. Smoke and fire lit the alien city. Sirens screamed across the skyline. But the humans were already gone. And the Dominion now knew. When you take one human prisoner, you don't just fight that human. You fight Earth. You fight the entire species. The storm had been unleashed. But this was only the beginning. The Dreth Dominion had always believed they ruled the stars. Their fleets numbered in the thousands. Their armies spread across dozens of sectors. No single species had ever stood against them. But tonight, inside their strongest fortress ship, the Dreth learned why humanity was different. The alarm still echoed through the massive warship. Red lights flashed across the corridors. Smoke drifted through the air. Entire squads of Dreth soldiers rushed to contain the situation, but nothing worked. The human prisoner they had mocked, Kara Hale, was gone. She was no longer a weak captive. She was a signal, and that signal had been heard. Through the Dreth fleet's comms, a distorted message repeated again and again. "You took one of ours. Now we come for all of you." Kara stood inside the Dreth throne chamber, the heart of their flagship. Around her lay broken consoles, sparking machinery, and the remains of the Dreth guards who had tried to stop her. In her hands was nothing but a jagged piece of metal torn from the wall. She had used it like a blade, silent and deadly. Before her, the Dreth warlord, Vaerith, struggled to rise. His 4 eyes burned with fury, but his movements were slow. His armor was cracked. His pride was shattered. He had thought this human would beg, would weep, would die quietly in his cells. Instead, she had torn his ship apart from the inside. "You should not have taken me," Kara said softly. Her voice was calm, but each word cut deeper than the shard in her hand. The warlord spat blood. "You are one. Just one. You cannot defeat the Dominion." Kara stepped closer. "That's the mistake all of you make. You think you've captured one human, but you've captured us all." Outside the warship, space itself trembled. Dozens of human ships had arrived, silent and black against the stars. They were smaller than Dreth cruisers, less armored, less armed, but they moved with terrifying precision. Every shot they fired struck exactly where it would hurt most. Every maneuver cut off the Dreth escape routes. For the first time in centuries, Dreth soldiers felt something alien in their hearts. Not rage, not pride, fear, because the humans weren't here to conquer. They weren't here for territory or glory or slaves. They were here for Kara. And if a single human was worth a fleet, then what would happen if the Dreth ever took another? Kara's earpiece crackled. A voice came through, the voice of her commander, steady and cold. "Kara, extraction window is 2 minutes. Hold position." She smiled faintly. Even in the deepest enemy ship, she had never been alone. Her people always came back. Always. The Dreth warlord bared his fangs, dragging himself upright. "This is not the end, human. We are endless. We are eternal." Kara tilted her head, studying him like a puzzle already solved. "Then you'll have eternity to regret this." With a sudden motion, she drove the shard of metal into the ship's control core. Sparks exploded. The chamber shook. Systems across the warship screamed in failure. In orbit, Dreth officers watched in horror as their flagship went dark. No engines, no weapons, No shields. The humans didn't even fire a killing shot. They didn't need to. The Dreth had destroyed themselves the moment they touched a human. A thunderous crash shook the throne chamber. The walls split open, and from the void of space, a sleek black human boarding craft locked onto the ship. Soldiers in dark armor stormed inside, weapons glowing with cold blue light. Kara Hale, their leader, barked. Time to come home. Kara dropped the shard, her mission complete. She walked past the stunned Dreth warlord without looking back. To her, he was already finished. As she stepped onto the human craft, she whispered a final sentence that echoed in the warlord's ears long after she was gone. You should have listened to the stories. Humans don't stay prisoners. Not ever. The human fleet pulled away, vanishing into faster-than-light jumps as if they had never been there. They left the Dreth Dominion humiliated, broken, and silent. The galaxy watched. Dozens of empires who had laughed at human myths now whispered in awe. They had seen the truth with their own eyes. Humans were not dangerous because of their weapons. They were dangerous because they never abandoned each other. They were dangerous because one human was never alone. They were dangerous because every mistake their enemies made was their last. On the quiet deck of her returning ship, Kara sat by the viewport, staring at the stars. She thought of the moment she had been captured, paraded, mocked. The Dreth had believed she was helpless. They had believed humanity could be broken. But now the galaxy knew the truth. The most dangerous human is always the one you think is weak. The most dangerous human is the one you overlook. The most dangerous human is the one you try to cage. Kara closed her eyes and allowed herself a small, tired smile. Because the Dreth had just learned humanity's oldest rule. No one takes a human and lives to take another.